Hello and welcome to the Runnin with the Herd podcast, live stream, multi stream edition. I'm your host and producer of the Runnin with the Herd podcast, Aaron Coleman, alongside Josh Tower, staff
Hello
writer for
and welcome
Herd
to.
Nation. Josh, welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. And we have a very special guest who's going to be joining us here momentarily. And that, of course, is Charles Huff, the 31st head football coach of the Marshall University Thundering Herd. And before we get Coach Huff on with us here, Josh, what were your initial impressions of him once it was announced that he was hired, and a little bit from the press conference earlier this week? What were your impressions of Coach Huff and what he plans on bringing to the program?
I think the thing that stood out most to me was just how energetic he was and how engaging he was. He was a guy that I think you could easily feel, the excitement behind him. Obviously it's his first head coaching job, so there's always excitement involved there. But just the passion that I think he's going to bring to into the program, and youth, and just a number of different things that will, I think, enable the fan base to kind of gravitate towards him and towards the program at the same time. But like I said, I think what stood out to me was just how much passion and energy he brought. I don't think that he could have done any better job than what he did with the press conference. And I mean, that seemed like that was the popular opinion from not only Marshall fans, but I mean, even like from national media members who saw it. He just really hit a home run with that, to be honest.
Yeah, he certainly did. One of the first impressions that I had in regards to Coach Huff was just the fact that he's one of those individuals who's a motivator. He's one of those guys that's going to get up every day and work. And it's something that I think resonates with the fan base, and I think it's going to resonate with the players as well. And I also think that he's, in addition to being a motivator, he's also one of those guys that has been to the top as far as elite programs such as Alabama, another SEC school like Mississippi State. And I know that he's one of those guys that has an eye for talent and can get that talent to Huntington. And that's something that I think stands out to me as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for obviously for him to be able to go into a household of a recruit and say that, he's literally been to the top. I mean, he coached for the pinnacle program in college football. I mean, Alabama, and coached underneath what I would say is, the greatest football coach of all time, collegiately speaking, Nick Saban. So, just having, that on his resume and being able to go into a household and say, I'm a national champion, and I mean, and this is what I see for your son, moving forward and what we want to do. I think that will speak volumes to kids, to their parents, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, like I said, the guy, and I think you said it best, he just seems like a motivator. I mean, he really energized, just in 3 days here, he's really energized the fan base, it seems like. And, a lot of people are talking about upping their donations and buying season tickets again, and things like that. And that's really what we need here at Marshall, is just, energy surrounding the program. And I certainly think he provides that.
Yeah, I do too. And obviously, with what you mentioned with the Big Green and with the fan base in the tri state area and all around, obviously, it's something that has been well talked about, well documented, and well needed for some time. And that's to get some quality individuals not only donating to the Big Green, but also showing up to Jones C. Edwards Stadium and cheering on this Thundering Herd team. Now, when you look at the 2021 version of the Thundering Herd and what he's going to bring to it, I mean, obviously the cupboard's not bare. I mean, he has a quality quarterback. He has some players that are returning that were all conference guys. And I think he's going to maximize that talent and kind of put his own stamp on the program with that aggressiveness, both offensively and defensively.
It'll be really interesting to see what he can do. That's obviously something that all the fans, including myself, are interested to see. I mean, I'm going to ask him about it here in a little bit. So hopefully, he has the right answer. But you know, like you said, I mean, the cupboard's certainly not bare. I mean, he's coming into a winning program. Based off the 2020 season, and there was some youth there. I mean, it starts at the quarterback position with Grant. I mean, those were his first 10 games of his collegiate career, and I mean, the kid's got 4 more years to go. And I think, like we've talked about before, I think his trajectory certainly aims to is projected to go up and forward. So, it'd be interesting to see what he can do, there, and then other kids too. I mean, Sheldon Evans, excuse me, Knowledge McDaniel, Lawrence Papillon, Corey Gamage, Brock Thompson, Tully Keaton, um, and some of the guys who were seniors this year that haven't necessarily made it public if they are not going to come back. Xavier Gaines, Willie Johnson, some of the guys on the offensive line. And that's just the offense. That's not even
Mm-hmm.
talking about the defense. So there's a lot of talent there. And I mean, he's mentioned, wanting to win now, and not that this isn't a rebuild situation. So it's good that he recognizes that. I think, obviously it puts some expectations on him, already, with him acknowledging that. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be fun to watch. I mean, it's new, it's exciting. There's always questions to be answered, but he's got, I think Grant Wells posted on Instagram today, 219 days to
Yeah.
figure all that out. So
Oh
we got a
yeah.
ways to go, but it'll be an exciting ride.
It will be an exciting ride, and let's bring him in right now. The head football coach of the Marshall University Thundering Herd, Charles Huff. Welcome to the live stream, multi-stream edition of the Running with the Herd podcast. Coach,
How you doing, man?
congratulations and welcome.
Can you see me?
We
Yep, we
got
can
you.
see
All
you.
right,
We
good.
got you.
You guys doing all
Welcome
right?
to Huntington. Yeah, we're doing
Doing
all
good.
I
right.
appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys. Obviously, it's been a whirlwind, but it's been everything I could ask for. Unbelievable support, unbelievable reception to me, and working my tail off to get my staff here. So it's been really good.
Yeah, it certainly has, Coach. And one of the first questions I'm going to ask you is, what was it about Marshall that initially drew you into it, and what made you decide that this was the place for you?
Yeah, I think whenever you are looking to advance your career in whatever endeavor you're in, you're looking for a strong, solid foundation. You're looking for a place that has, especially in the college athletics realm, tradition, the place that has a history. When the Marshall M, when people see the M, they know that it's recognizable. Alignment from the top to the bottom, with the president, AD, administrators, alumni, understanding the importance of football, understanding the importance of how this program can drive the train for the entire university. And obviously, the wins. And when you win, it's very rare that a program the caliber of Marshall comes open without a drop off. They won 7 games, played in the championship, went to a bowl game. Most of the jobs that come open and that you have an opportunity to get are programs that have kind of taken a step back or slid off a little bit. So now you're going in with a rebuild mentality. You're trying to re-energize the players. You're trying to retool the roster. Marshall wasn't that. It was like finding a lucky jewel. It was a
Mhm.
place that obviously is loaded roster-wise, has some very good pieces. We got to do a good job of putting them in the right place. Has history, has tradition, understands how to win. And that's not just making tackles and scoring touchdowns, but just from an overall philosophy, and we talked about expectations, and this fan base has expectations because they know how to win. They've seen it. They know what it looks like. They know what it feels like. They know what it smells like. And I think it was very good because I had the opportunity to be at a place where I smelled championship air for 2 years. And it's a different smell. I know a lot of people, think of it that may be funny, but it's a different smell. When you walk into a building that has championship air in it, there's a different expectation. There's a different sense of urgency. There's a different philosophy. And that's what Marshall has.
Coach Josh Dowers with Herd Nation. Welcome to Huntington. We're excited to have you.
Awesome. Welcome. Happy to
Kind
be here.
of kind of an initiation process for the Marshall family is to watch the movie We Are Marshall. Have you had the chance to see the movie and know the story?
I have seen the movie. So the night after my press conference, my wife and my son were home, and they had some family in town visiting. And my wife texted me about 8 o'clock, and my desk looked like literally someone had turned a fan on. There were papers everywhere, and she texted me and she said, "Me and BJ are watching We Are Marshall, and we're in tears. We can't wait to get there." Yes, I've seen the movie. Obviously, it's obviously the history and tradition of this place, and it's centered around that movie. I talked to the president in the process when we were going through the interview process, and he said Marshall is a place of tragedy and a place of rebirth, and I'm excited to be a part of the future, and where we can go. Tragedy before, with the event happening, the rebirth, and where this program went, and I'm trying to elevate it to the next level. Obviously, I can't do that alone, but my staff, these players, we're trying to elevate it to the next level. Why stop at the rebirth?
I couldn't agree
Yes,
more.
certainly. Aaron Coleman, Josh Dowers, and new head football coach of the Marshall Thunder, heard Charles Huff here in the live stream, multi-stream podcast of the Runnin with the Herd. If you have a question for Josh, Coach Huff, or myself, you could chime in on Facebook and Twitter. We are currently live streaming right now over both platforms. Lots of complimentary messages being sent to you, Coach Huff, welcoming you, your family to Huntington. Um, just in your few short days here, what has the community been like in terms of, just, the reception that you and your family have gotten once it was announced that you would be taking over the program?
It's been really good. I was today's Thursday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, and today. I go by a coffee shop every morning just to buy coffee and shoot the bird with whoever's in there. The one of the places I went to, butter me up, I think it was, or is that what it is in town here?
Mm-hmm.
I went in, and the cashier was kind of like shocked that I walked in. I turned around, I thought somebody was behind me with a gun. I was, oh, what happened? But she was just like, we haven't seen, the head football coach come in here. I was like, well, we drink coffee too. So it was really good that, just seeing the people's excitement and seeing um, their enthusiasm. I went to Grindstone the next day, and I mean, it was like everybody stopped. There was a line of cars around. They were blowing the horn. They wanted their coffee, and everybody was kind of like, "Oh wow, coach is in here." I was like, "Yeah, medium black, please." I'm real simple, but it was good. It was good, and you can tell that there is a lot of passion. There's a lot of want to in this community. Want to be a part. Want to help us win. Want to come out and watch the game. And it's my job and it's my staff's job to meet them in the middle. Give them a reason to want to know the coach, want to see the coach, and want to support the players.
Yeah, certainly. And one of the things that I took from your press conference earlier in the week was the fact that you had a quote that you had said, and you said you got to make the conscious effort every day to make the right choices and decisions to achieve the goals that you have set for you. And that quote stood out to me. I put it out on my Twitter page for the podcast. Just what was your reaction with the team when you first introduced yourself? And what kind of message echoing that did you send to them when you had met up with them for the first time?
I the message was, guys, the first thing I told them was, guys, I want you to understand I chose to be here. I chose you just like you chose Marshall. I told them
Mhm.
very simple. I could have stayed in Tuscaloosa for a very long time, and had a really good time, really good career, and enjoyed it. And I told him I've been involved and researched other jobs. I told him when this one came open, I chose them. So I wanted them to know I was here for them. It wasn't like I was walking down the street and somebody grabbed me and said, "Hey, look, you're the head coach over here," and you were like, "Oh man, dang it." I chose them. I fought for the job, and I wanted them to understand that I was here for them. And then I told them, I said, first of all, I don't want you guys to think this is all going to be cookies and cream. I said, you guys are a very good football team. I said, but we are working to be a champion. So what we talked about was just getting 6 inches better. It's not like we're trying to rebuild. It's not like we're starting from scratch, guys. We're trying to get 6 inches better. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, they work all off season to get just a little bit better. They're not working to learn how to shoot a three-pointer. They're working to find out, what do I need to do to get 2 points in the last game? What do I need to do to play 5 minutes so my conditioning level goes up, so I can 5 more minutes in the game, so that way I can be in the game and affect the game more? So I told them we're everything we can to close the gap 6 inches. They didn't get blown out in the championship game. They didn't get blown out in the bowl game. They were that close. So we're talking 1 or 2 plays, but you got to work an entire year, and you got to maximize your opportunities every day, make conscious choices and decisions so that you have a chance to be successful on Saturdays. And closing that gap is all in the details. We don't need a new offensive line. We don't need a new quarterback. We just need everybody to get a little bit better. And that's what I told those guys. And I told those guys, hey, I'm here for you. I told them your staff would be here as soon as possible. I said, change is hard. Everybody wants change until it's time to change. It's hard. It's not easy. It's something that people say they want, but then when it's happened, the anxiety and apprehension comes. I said, but what I am here to do is help you guys close the gap on the 6 inches.
Coach, something.
And then I told them to make sure everybody was 5
Go
minutes early to class the next day. So that was part of it.
Something I heard you talk about in the press conference was the process. And I mean,
No, I said, and then I told them to make sure everybody was 5 minutes early to class the next day.
I was talking about during your press conference, you were talking about the process. And, so many people now, not just kids, but I mean, people in general just want instant gratification and they don't appreciate the process to get there. Just talk about, what you see in terms of, just the process of, how your career is taken on what it is now to be the head coach at Walsh University. We lost him.
All right, we're going to try to see if we could get Coach back here with us. Aaron Coleman, Josh Stowers here in the Runnin' with the Herd podcast, powered up by Herd Nation, a part of the Rivals Network.
He's back.
Coach, are you with us?
He's muted. You have to unmute. There he is.
Coach, are you with us?
Sorry, guys. I lose you.
We're good now.
We are good.
Can you hear me? We've lost him again.
All right. Coach will be with us here momentarily, but he was talking a little bit about the process here as we get him back on here momentarily. He was just talking a little bit about the process and about how, how special this really is. And I tell you, you could tell in just his voice that he's excited to be here and he's ready to get things going. And it looks like we have him back here, the new head football coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd, Charles Huff, back with us again. Charles, thank you for joining us so much. We appreciate it. Josh, continue on with your question that you were asking, Coach. Oh, no problem.
You're fine. Coach, what I was asking was, we were talking about, just the process, and you talked about the process in itself in your press conference. Just how too many people nowadays just look for instant gratification and don't appreciate the process to get there. Just talk about the process, for you in terms of your career and how you got to the point of being the head coach of Marshall University.
You guys hear me?
You're cutting in and out real bad.
Okay, you got me. Sorry, you got me, guys?
Yeah, we got you, Coach.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm sorry. We got the worst Wi-Fi. I will fix that tomorrow. I mean, about the process, and obviously the biggest thing for us is, with my journey to get here, it was a big part of me that I learned that you got to work every day. That you never know who's watching, and through an entire career, it's never been something I thought was coming or something that I watched me, along everyday basis. Hey, watching you, or I've been watching, somebody around you has been watching you, and that has always gotten me the next step. Hey, we've been watching, you've been doing a really good job. We want to give you this opportunity. Hey, we've been watching, you did a really good job. We want to increase your role here. And I think what happens a lot of times is caught up in the end goal, or and they forget to do that are going to produce the end goal. Some of the things I got to do on a daily basis in order to get. If I want to get an A in a class, then I got to study every day just a little bit more, so that way when the test comes, I'm a little more prepared. If I want to win football games, the little things right day, so that when the opportunity comes for me to make a play or to
Coach, did we lose you? Coach Huff will be rejoining us here in just a second. We apologize for the technical difficulties. Aaron Coleman, Josh Towers here in the Running with the Herd podcast, powered up by Herd Nation, part of the Rivals Network. And we will be joined here by Coach Huff. We're going to get a couple of more questions in, and then we're going to switch gears a little bit and chat with an individual that covered him while he was at the University of Alabama, Christopher Walsh from Bama Central, the Sports Illustrated affiliate there. And we've been getting some quality messages here from a lot of the alumni and the fans, saying welcome to the Herd family, Coach, and go Herd, and things of that sort. Dwight Bundy saying we're right behind you, Coach, and those sorts of things. And I tell you what, though, when Coach was talking a little bit about his philosophy and what he's trying to implement here, creating that championship culture, that's something that I think resonates with a lot of the fan base here, Josh, because The Herd has won 5 out of 7 MAC championships. They won a championship, of course, in Conference USA. They've won some uh, they've won some bowl games in the past, and it's just one of those things where when you create a championship culture.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the environment at Marshall. I mean, like, for a number of years, I mean, that was obviously the motto. We play for championships, and that's just something the fans grew accustomed to, and they set the bar there. The fans expect that, and that's something that Coach Huff's talked about. Trying to embrace, and I certainly feel like I said earlier, the guy is passionate about winning. It seems like. I mean, he's used to winning. Like he said. I mean, being in Alabama. I mean, like I said, he's been at the pinnacle, so he knows what it takes to get there, and it'll be interesting to watch and see what he can do with this program in hopes of trying to reach that.
Yep, and it looks like Coach is back with us here. Coach Charles Huff, thank you once again for joining us. We certainly appreciate it.
I apologize for the technical difficulties.
Coach, the first thing we're going to do is get that Wi-Fi fixed.
No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah, I
Coach,
mean, you can't have a
yeah.
championship be a champion if you can't get on.
He's froze again.
All right. All right. We're going to bring in Christopher Walsh from Bama Central. Talk a little bit about what Coach Huff and the hire means not only to Marshall but what he did from Alabama. Christopher, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate it. Now, Christopher, you've been around the Alabama program for quite some time now. Just what were your impressions when you heard that Coach Huff was hired by the Marshall Thundering Herd to lead their football program in 2021 moving forward?
It's really funny because, Nick Saban has a policy that his assistant coaches don't talk to reporters. So, like, Coach Huff actually lives in my neighborhood. I mean, I've seen him around, I've seen his family around, and I've actually never had the opportunity to go up and introduce myself to him one-on-one. So, if Coach Huff, if you can hear this, if you and your family need anything, please knock on the door. Well, and congratulations. Terrific coach, wonderful reputation. When Alabama hired him, Mississippi State was really, really bummed that they lost him. His players really like him. He is organized. He is dynamic. He is. When we were kind of going back with our messages and all this, talking to all these people around the program and so forth, and trying to get a feel for him. I think this is a absolutely wonderful fit. I think it's a terrific hire for Marshall. Obviously, he could sit there and talk to recruits and have a ring on his hand, and that helps just to begin with. But this is exactly the kind of guy that you want heading your program.
Yeah, for sure.
Certainly. And Chris, in terms of what he's learned from Nick Saban and everything else, I mean, obviously, Nick Saban's probably the best coach in the modern era. He's going to, some of that's going to rub off on him, and he's going to take it to Huntington with him, correct?
Yeah. I mean, just think of all the guys that were in that room together who are now becoming head coaches. And, I did a big feature a couple years ago about former assistant coaches and where are they now. We're gonna put together a database off of it and put it on the Bama Central site in the near future. But Saban had, and this is before he made all the hires 2 years ago. He had 100 different assistant coaches, and to sit there and look at where everyone had gone in their careers. I mean, every single one of them. It was pretty much defensive coordinator or head coach somewhere. And you think of all these guys sitting around the room together, batting around ideas and working together. And so you had Huff, who, working very closely with Steve Sarkisian, who's now the head coach at Texas. And you can just go down the list. Billy Napier has had tremendous success at Louisiana Lafayette. And, he's being chased by everything named, opening, it seems like now. So it's a lot of it, of course, rubs off, but it's kind of like in the journalism field, like you would go and, we're the Sports Illustrated affiliate. So I'm going to use that as a comparison. You go and you work at Sports Illustrated, and then you go and head up, whatever news outlet that you want to, kind of thing. Of course it rubs off, and of course it helps you. And, just seeing how firsthand Nick Saban goes about things and how he recruits, that to me is going to be a really, really big thing. I expect very good things from Marshall in the near future.
Yeah, certainly. Chris Walsh over at Bama Central. You can follow him on Twitter over at Bama Central. Lots of great insight on the Alabama Crimson Tide. One more here, real quick, Chris, before we let you run.
Sure.
I mean, when you have quality assistants, they're going to get hired by other places. I mean, it just comes with the territory. Did you think that Coach Huff was ready for an opportunity like this, given his previous experience? I mean, obviously he played at Hampton. He was a assistant coach at Mississippi State. He's got a couple of different background in terms of working with some of the best talent and as an ace recruiter and everything like that. Did you think that this was the time, this was the opportunity for him to kind of spread his wings and go and run his own program in his own image?
Yeah, I've been covering Alabama since 2004, and before that, I covered 3 NFL teams. And every once in a while, you hear that thing of this guy might be up for a job at such and such place, and you immediately go, "Oh, that's perfect." You just know that it's going to happen. It's going to be a good fit, and it's absolutely, you hear it as a rumor, and you're just like, okay, that's going to be a factual story really fast. This is definitely one of those situations. Just between his background, his coaching pedigree, what he brings to the table, the way that, like I mentioned before, he's really popular with his players. I think this is a wonderful fit. I think this is it's one of those. As soon as I heard it, I just went, "Yep, that's definitely going to happen." So, we want to wish him the best, and like I said, I expect in the next couple of years we're going to be talking about Marshall very positively in the college football world.
That's what we like to hear out here.
Chris, obviously, some of the guys that are in the backfield for Alabama are pretty decent.
Yeah, they're okay.
But just talk about what you've seen from during Coach Huff's time at Alabama. Just maybe the small things that those guys may have picked up from him. Just in his time there.
Sure. You got to start with Najee Harris, because here's a guy who came back this year for his senior year, and Najee was he was trying to be an outside the tackles running back his first couple of years. And I mean, granted, he'd have success, but the whole key to this season, and I really think a lot of it had to do with Coach Huff getting him to buy in, was he had to run more between the tackles and hit the holes and be much more direct. And look what happened. I mean, he had a phenomenal year. He's now Alabama's all-time leading rusher. And when it comes to the draft, this is a running back who is not only good with the ball, he's a very good receiver. He's a good blocker. He picks up blitzes really, really well. He is a complete running back. And that's what's going to make him really popular in the draft. And I mean, like I said, it's you have to start with the credit with Coach Huff and getting him to buy in and do all that. It's just this whole year for Alabama was just kind of jaw dropping. I mean, just all the things that went perfect, really, really well. And it's the stat that I kind of like to point to as showing how different it was. every single starter on the offense, except for the second wide receiver, won a national award this year. They got the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line, quarterback of the year, running back of the year, wide receiver of the year, Heisman Trophy. And I include the tight ends with a Joe Moore. So that's 10 out of 11. That's pretty good.
It's decent.
Yeah, it certainly is. Christopher, thank you very much for joining us here on the program tonight. We certainly appreciate it. Thanks for stepping in. Thanks for staying in touch. And we'll try to talk to you soon if Alabama and Marshall ever play a home and home sometime.
Oh, yeah, bowl game next year. Come on. Let's, we'll do that.
Let's do it. I got your number. Let's go.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks. Have a good evening. Christopher Walsh over there at Bama Central. You can follow all of his great work over there for Sports Illustrated at Bama Central. Before we kind of wrap up here this evening, Josh, just a couple of quick thoughts on Coach Huff and what he's been doing in his short time in Huntington so far. One of the things that we kind of talked about off air was his engagement with the community and his engagement with the alumni and those sorts of things. And that to me really is important to me because for a while, some people were, I wouldn't say miffed, but kind of just like questioning a little bit of the alumni's willingness and wanting to come back and be a part of the program, to be a part of the community. And the relationship between the alumni and the current coach and staff was, let's just say, it wasn't what it needed to be. And Coach Huff is trying to repair that and trying to get some of those alumni back. It's already showing with the defensive staff. It's already showing with a lot of the hires that have been made. But just talk a little bit about that and how important you think that's been so far.
He just put out the video on YouTube earlier this afternoon, talking about bringing all the players back for a couple of different games next year. And I mean, man, like the social media response from like former players has been crazy. I know of 4 or 5 guys off the top of my head that I saw respond to him and say how much they appreciated it and how they're looking forward to making it back this fall. And that's all part of the process. I mean, and I keep going back to that word. It seems like right now, but I think that's just all part of it. I mean, is being, and like I said earlier, that was one of the things that stood out to me was just how engaging he was, and that's just. I think that's important because, especially at a school like Marshall, trying to build, I always say the Marshall family, and I think that's the best way to build that family is to be passionate, be engaging, and show, the energy that and the excitement that he brings. So I just think that's so far, off the field, he's been the total package. Honestly, I mean, he's been, just like him coming on tonight, albeit, it wasn't as the Wi-Fi became an issue, but the guy's been great so far, and he's only 4 days in. So I really look forward to seeing what he can do and just, watching the fan base and the community, you follow in.
Yeah, I certainly look forward to that as well. It's going to be an exciting season of football down on Jones C. Edwards Stadium in Huntington, West Virginia. Just for all of you fans out there listening, watching the live stream on Facebook and Twitter both, this podcast is available on Anchor, Spotify, TuneIn, basically anywhere that you could get a podcast. Also, the archive will be placed on YouTube a little bit later today, and it will be on herdnation.com, SoundCloud, and other outlets. So thanks to everyone for chiming in. Thanks to Chris Walsh for joining us from Bama Central, and a very, very special thank you to Coach Charles Huff for joining us on the program. We will bring you another interview with Coach Huff in the very near future once we kind of, get some things straightened out behind the curtain as far as our technology. But thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for listening, and thank you for viewing. For Josh Stowers, I'm Aaron Coleman saying good evening, go Herd, and we'll talk to you next time.